now we're going to see about the applications of biotechnology. See, there are two chapters as I told you. In the first chapter, it is more of the principles. How are we working? What are the tools we use? For example, your restriction, enzyme, DNA ligase, all these are tools of biotechnology. Then how is the process going on? What is the step? What is the first step? So all these we've seen, okay. Now in this chapter, we are going to see about the biotechnology applications. Okay, so when I say applications, right now biotechnology is used in almost all the fields. So I'm just going to list out the applications here, and then we'll be seeing in detail about few applications. Okay, so this biotechnology is used in almost all the fields, primarily in agriculture. Primarily in agriculture, as I told you. Why in agriculture? See, in what ways? Sorry, this is going to benefit the agriculture. In agriculture, you have a lot of issues, like some plants will be dying off in because of the abiotic factors, like your extreme drought, sun, all these climatic conditions. Okay, next is that plants are not able to survive because of the pests, insecticides. Okay, then you some plants will be of less nutritional value. Okay, so all these are the problems in the agricultural field. So using this biotechnology, I can produce the plants which can withstand the abiotic factors, extremities of the temperature. Okay, so if I give them a gene which can withstand these abiotic factors, then my plants will survive. Then pest resistance. Pest resistance. So my plant, I can design a plant wherein it can resist the pest. Then fungicidal. Okay, so fungus resistant. Then you will have a fertilizer. So naturally the plant will have the high fertilizer content. Next is that I will have more of this nutritional value, enriched nutritional value. Okay, so all these are some of the applications. So abiotic, pest resistance, fungicidal, fertilizer, nutritional value. Okay, and then main thing is disease resistant. So I can produce all these type of plants using the biotechnology. Okay, and it is said that after the application of this biotechnological principles, the food production is almost tripled. Okay, because of the growing population, we are not able to meet the food needs. Correct. So after these applications, application of this kind of technology, the food production is almost tripled. Okay, and as I told you, the green revolution from farm to land, this is brought in all these changes. Because of the green revolution only, all these are possible. Okay, if you experiment in lab alone, it is not going to help. Just because from lab they brought it to land, it actually helped the farmers better. Okay, also see, now earlier days what they used to do is they used to spray this insecticide, fungicide, etc. That is again a chemical. But once we consume that, that might affect us also. But with this kind of technology, the plant is not affected, even we are not affected, but the problem is sorted and addressed. So that is why this is widely used in the fields of agriculture. So apart from agriculture, what are the other genres where you can use this is pharma. Okay, pharmaceuticals. Then production of drugs. Production of, sorry, not just drugs, some molecular products. Molecular proteins like your insulin, all these are molecular proteins. Okay, next in forensic laboratories, PCR. Next in molecular diagnosis, for diagnosing a disease. Okay, so forensic. Next is molecular diagnosis. Next is your therapy, treatments. For treatments, we use this biotechnology products. Okay, therapeutical application. Then for experimenting. So for all these applications, we use this biotechnological principle. So we are going to see about some examples which is listed, okay. But overall, if you see, this is extending its hands in almost all the fields of the biology, okay. So now, see, okay, first is we're going to see about something. So you must have heard of cloning and all. That is also the biotechnology principle, okay. So now, as I told you, what is a transgenic organism is that? Transgenic organism is the case in which transgenic. So transgenic, when you call it is that, when when organism A is having or growing a gene which is not its gene but it is from some other genus, then I'll call it as transgenic, okay. Then these kind of organisms are called as GMOs. No matter if the same genus or not, generally I'll call them as genetically modified organisms. So I will generalize it as genetically modified organisms, okay. So this says, see, whatever plants we're using, all are GMOs only. None of them is a proper native one, okay. Transgenic specifically two different genus, but GMOs generally, if I modify a gene in that organism, I'll call it as GMO, okay. So that is how I'll name them, okay. Now, we are going to see an example of BT cotton. Okay, so normal cotton plant you know, but what is this BT cotton? Is that we're going to see. Okay, see what happened is that there was a cotton plant. Okay, that cotton plant seemed to be troubled by a pest. So you have a cotton plant, normal cotton plant. This plant is eaten by a worm, okay, called as bollworm. So this worm is destroying the entire cotton plant yield, okay. We are not able to produce proper cotton because this is the biggest pest, okay. Though we spray the pest and all, the cotton flowers, it will be very fragile, it will be very delicate. So that is even destroying the plant. So that is why they found it very difficult, okay. Now what they found elsewhere is that there is a bacterium called as Bacillus thuringiensis. The bacterium name is Bacillus thuringiensis, okay. So this is only called as BT here, okay. So there is a bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis which is producing some content which can destroy the bollworm. So this something which is produced by Bacillus thuringiensis is called as endotoxin. It's called as delta endotoxin. I repeat, normally cotton worm is affected by the cotton plant is affected by the bollworm. This is a pest. Okay. Now elsewhere they found that there is a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis which can produce a delta endotoxin. Okay, that will be in delta shape. Okay, and this can destroy the bollworm. So now in biotechnology, what we do is we should link these two. Okay, so now what did they do is they started experimenting on the Bacillus thuringiensis bacterium, and they found out that a gene, okay, see, entire bacteria I cannot give it to the cotton plant, okay. So what I need, I just want something which is producing this delta endotoxin. That something which is producing this, your delta endotoxin is your a gene called as crygene. So crygene in Bacillus thuringiensis is producing the delta endotoxin. So what did they do? They isolated this crygene from the Bacillus thuringiensis and they gave this crygene to this cotton plant. And now after getting the crygene, it is called as BT cotton. So when you have crygene in the cotton plant, when the bollworm is infecting this cotton plant, it will automatically kill the bollworm. So in short, if I have to tell you, the cotton plant has been given a superpower kind of thing, and that superpower is nothing but a gene for destroying the pest, and that gene is extracted from Bacillus thuringiensis, and the name of the gene is crygene. So this kind of modified cotton is only called as BT cotton. Okay. So BT cotton is a cotton with the crygene so that it can fight against the bollworm. Okay. So likewise you have many crygenes. For example, Cry1AC, then Cry2AB. These two will fight the bollworms. Then you have one more thing called Cry1AB. This will fight the corn borer for the corn plants. Okay. So according to each plant and each pest, you have that kind of genes. So when I give off these genes to that plant, the plant can naturally fight and survive. Okay. So this is the principle. And one more thing. Okay. See, you there is later they've invented something called as BT brinjal. Okay, lot of things came out, but now BT brinjal is banned. Okay, so see, this endotoxin, this particular thing is killing the bollworm. Okay, can't this destroy the cotton plant? Or when we eat brinjal and all, can't it kill us? Okay, when it is able to kill the worm, okay, it should be able to kill the plant or it should be able to kill us. How is it that it is only killing the plant, I mean worm? Why? Because this is a endotoxin, as I told you. Endo is inside. So this delta endotoxin is actually covered by a covering. So this is not harmful when you touch it or when you feel it. Only when it is taken inside the alimentary canal. Okay, only if the worm takes the delta endotoxin, what happens is that this outermost coat is broken and then the toxins are all released. Okay, because the enzymes produced in our alimentary canal will break open the wall. Okay, then what happens is this toxin will create holes in the alimentary canal and the worm ultimately dies. So this is toxic only when it is consumed or taken orally. If not, this is not going to do any harm. Okay. And the reason, see, yes, if this is producing this kind of impact, when we eat the brinjal, there might be, that may not result in the death of the person, but definitely there are some disturbances which are noted. That is why BT brinjal is banned. Okay. See, it may not kill the human beings, but definitely it may cause some, stomach upset kind of thing. That kind of, some side effects are seen. So that is why brinjal is banned. But cotton is still there because cotton is not something which we consume. So that is why this has been successful. So I repeat, cotton plant harmed by a pest called bollworm. Bacillus thuringiensis got a crygene which produces endotoxin which can kill the bollworm. Now, I am isolating this crygene from the Bacillus thuringiensis and giving it to the cotton plant so that this is called as BT cotton. Now when the bollworm infects, when it is feeding on the cotton leaves, this crygene will produce the endotoxin inside and it will kill the worm. Okay. So as I told you, it gets activated only when it is consumed, only when the enzymes are acting. If not, it is not harmful. Okay. So this is all about your BT cotton. So I have listed the names of the other genes which are involved. So accordingly, this works. Okay. So this is all about the BT cotton. Okay. Next, we are going to see about. Okay, second application, I will go for human insulin now, as we have seen this before. Okay, human insulin. Human insulin is called as humulin. This is the first protein which has been produced by this RNA technology, humulin. Okay, human insulin, humulin. Okay. Now, see, as you know, okay, before finding out this RNA technology, earlier they used to extract the insulin from the slaughtered animals like your sheep, pig, goat, etc. That is where your insulin is extracted. Okay. So now we have this RNA technology, so we are advanced. Okay. Now a person called Eli Lilly. I mean, it's not a person, it is the institute. Okay. Eli Lilly's institute who first experimented on this particular human insulin. So if you see the structure of human insulin, there are two chains, A chain and B chain. Okay, and that is linked by a peptide called as C peptide by the disulfide linkages. Okay, So you have this A chain and B chain, and it is linked by a C peptide. Okay. So now what is the concept is that you all know that none of the proteins are produced naturally. I mean, in an active form. Okay. It is most of the proteins are produced in the precursor form. Okay. Likewise, this is a precursor molecule. Okay. That is, you have A chain, you have B chain, and C peptide. This is the inactive insulin. Okay. So this is inactive form. Once the C peptide is cleaved and A and B chains are produced, that's an active insulin. When this is linked, it is an inactive insulin. Okay. Now, what is the challenge they faced is in RNA technology, they're able to produce the sequence. Okay. But they're not able to align the chains properly, A, B, C. This alignment was a problem. Okay. So as far as proteins are concerned, though you produce the chain properly, the alignment and the orientation is not fine, it will not be an effective protein. So what happened is they're successful in producing the chain, but the alignment is still a problem. So later what did they do is, they cloned the gene for A chain separately and B chain separately and this separately, and they introduced all three together so that they align properly. Clear? So initially the entire protein, it was not happening properly. Later they cloned the A chain separately and then B chain separately. So they mixed these two and then they gave it in the form of protein. Okay, this was done by Eli Lilly. So this is all about the human insulin. This is the first protein which has been cloned. Okay.